more of a female Joker movie than you might think, and not in a good way.
So what do you guys? So what do you guys think?
So
Really is a female Joker.
Yeah. I feel like you guys felt way stronger about this than
How
I did.
did you not?
There are definitely parts I feel strongly about that I completely agree with you on. Let me be clear.
Okay.
But I don't know, maybe it's because I've grown immunity to these offensive Disney remakes.
I don't know. I feel like this was offensive on its own level.
Fair.
Okay, so let me just. I really want to throw out the different movies. Also, enjoyed the wide angle so you can see my corgi pants. But I just want to throw out. I want to start this off by just throwing out the movies that this reminded me of. Suicide Squad, in more ways than one.
Yep.
In the sense that they seem to weirdly try to go for a Harley type vibe with Cruella.
A little bit.
The constant on the nose use of pop songs, and at one point the whole title cards and neon text and shit. That makes an appearance too. There's that. Joker, for reasons we'll get into, I'm sure.
I mean, it's obvious from the trailer, really.
Yeah, but it's not.
Well, people would say it's not really female Joker, but
It's female Joker.
Really
No, it's.
Yeah.
I would say that it's not female Joker in the way that a lot of people think it is, or would assume that it is. But the ways in which it is like the Joker are the worst ways, and the biggest issues with the movie.
It's not as pretentious as Todd Phillips.
I paused at one point and had to vent because it was a problem.
It took us 3 hours to get through a 2-hour movie.
It was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh, sorry, 2 hours.
And you feel it.
Yeah.
My God, this movie is long as fuck.
Even when it feels like it's winding up to the climax, and then you realize you have 30 minutes left.
every time we paused to go get water or go get food, there was always an hour left.
Yeah.
30 minutes left. 30 minutes left. It never fucking ended.
You feel every fucking minute of this movie. Let's see. Any other movies that it reminds you of that's an issue?
I feel like my brain shut off about halfway through just as a defensive mechanism. Mechanism.
Potentially. Okay, so I guess it's shot well enough. It doesn't deserve the soundtrack that it has. It has an excellent soundtrack, but it uses it
bombastically.
Yeah, really liberally, really
in your face every fucking second, every fucking
There's
moment.
no subtlety to this movie.
There's no break. There's no room to breathe.
And the closest thing you come to subtlety are nuances in Emma Thompson's face to be extra, mean and rude.
It's got a good cast.
Yes, it does. The sidekick characters, Jasper and Horace.
What a journey.
It kind of stole the show. Towards the end of the movie, where oddly enough, because we're all kind of aversive to it.
Yeah, make no mistake. At the start, they are the most generic, bumbling sidekicks. Like Horace, who's the bigger one. When they they forged Corella's way into the first fashion job. Horace is like, I hope it's a burger place so we can steal and eat burgers every day.
Yeah,
and then
there are frequent jokes about how much he likes food because, he's fat. And that's funny because Disney.
But he becomes just this glowing sweetheart who really loves his little one-eyed dog.
And then his comedic relief actually really works.
Yeah, the two of them have a really great dynamic, and they are a much needed heart, empathetic heart to this movie. They lend it some actual fucking levity, and I'm pretty sure that without them, imagining this movie without them would be kind of horrifying.
At least Jasper had he had the reason and self-decency to call out Cruella on her bullshit, which I'm sure we'll get into that more.
And he has like an actual like moral compass.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
And like, here's the thing about this movie, and I was just kind of thinking about this, is that really a lot of stuff they were doing could have worked if they just didn't try to make her the hero.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like everything they did, even a lot of the shitty writing could have been made better if they just said like, no, she's still the villain of the story.
Yeah.
We're not gonna try to redeem her. We're not gonna try to do some bullshit where somebody's worse. She's still the fucking villain. This is about a bad person gets worse, and that's the end of the story. You can make that work.
So let's just jet through the aesthetics and general opinions, because I really need to talk about the general overall spoilery faults of this.
Sure.
In particular, the whole thing with the Dalmatians.
This did not upset me nearly as much as did you guys.
No. Like, beyond what we've already talked about.
Okay.
In terms of thematically, how it fits.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the post-credit thing.
I mean, that too. It changes everything. But yeah, it's shot well. It has good music. It has a decent energy to it, but it's very weird that Disney just chose to make a girl boss movie about the lady whose sole personality trait was murdering puppies.
Yeah.
The whole motivation was that she wanted to murder little baby dogs.
And then this movie goes out of its way to be like, oh, she didn't really want to murder dogs. She was tricked into thinking these dogs were bad. But then the post-credit scene...
Well, hang on. We gotta wait to get to that.
All right.
Because that's its own discussion.
Yes.
I don't know. Even that I don't. Anyway, go ahead.
It's so fucking...
It's okay. So, all right. So they made a movie about this character, and her arc is very strange. The way they try to portray her is very strange in the context of the lore, and there's the point partway through the movie where she like goes full Cruella or whatever, and it's like someone flipped the fucking Tyler Durden switch in her head, and she becomes... It's insufferable for a bit. Like, when she's trying to... I know it's supposed to be that way, but the way that it's overplayed, it just felt really cringe.
It was
to me.
definitely very chewing the scenery.
Which can be okay, but I just felt like in this case...
Again, like, framing matters for a lot here. All you gotta do is tweak it a little bit. Stop trying to make her the fucking hero. It's like, oh, this is the fall from grace. And again, it's like, no, she's just a terrible person. So, like, it can work in that context, but it tries to have its cake and eat it, too.
Multiple cakes ruined throughout this movie, by the way. But also, all of the, like, especially the first ball they go to, but, like, the first ball they go to has this weird Hunger Games vibe. Like, beyond just, like, oh, fancy thing, it has, like, weirdly colored powdered wigs and shit. Like, it's very much that kind of vibe. I don't know, very strange. I don't know. There's... And we gotta get into the details at some point to really get into this, but just, even from the start, the form of the girl boss vibe felt weird. And I know it's three guys sitting here, but like...
I mean, this has been a problem with all the fucking live-action Disney remakes or reboots, right? Like goddamn near all of them. The remake of Lion King had that weird Nala line, where it's like, lions, attack, and like... shit. Jasmine had a whole fucking new song before it needed to be like,
felines assemble.
Like,
I will not be silenced! Silence! Like, but
there are two goddamn Maleficent movies.
I haven't seen those. I don't know.
They do it better than this.
Yeah, because there is like, even before the Maleficent movie came out, there was the like. I've seen those online descriptions of like, actually, by the standards of the era, this was technically a grave insult, and she did give them the chance to not, but they decided that their pride was more valuable. Like, there is a weird way you can work that into the lore of Maleficent and Sleeping Beauty, but not Cruella de Vil, Puppy Skinner Supreme. Like,
I mean,
it's different.
I mean, Maleficent had the very weird rape allegory in there, so that is one
Yes,
thing.
But you know, was it... Hang on. I gotta see who directed that shit. Go on, I'm gonna look this up for a second.
Okay.
Well, I guess some of the positives.
Outside of Forge and Jasper.
Naturally.
Yeah.
A lot of the costume direction.
Neat.
was
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
It was very,
It was different.
very clashing from scene to scene sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I did appreciate the.
that's probably the whole point of her being a subversive.
Yeah. Right.
I did appreciate the glam goth vibe on a lot of her outfits. It's a very good look. She pulled it off very well.
And when she goes full Cruella, like it was not just the Tyler Durden switch, like the whole Tim Burton switch goes up to the point where
like
I was
it's
like,
gonna
this
play the hell out of
this
it.
is just Catwoman from Batman Returns.
I was like,
some
careful
of
which
those-
Catwoman you
some
bring
of
up.
those-
Yeah! Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when
They
she
do also make her extra pale for some reason.
Yes.
I don't get it.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
So when she first shows up in her hair, like this just really bugged me because I hate this fucking movie too. It's just
I mean, we all hate
it's
it.
just the Johnny Depp Sweeney Todd wig being
right,
styled by
yeah.
Mugatu from Zoolander.
think about that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's fucking
Yeah.
Mugatu doing
Oh.
Sweeney Todd, and I fucking hate the Sweeney Todd movie.
See, Sweeney Todd's
I've
one of
had
the movies
a
I
couple
liked when I was
drinks.
younger. I watched it
Fiery-
again recently. It's like, this movie sucks.
Fiery passion.
I've also had a couple drinks, so I'm a little loopy. But yeah, no, I remember I remember being shown clips from the original Sweeney Todd, the stage play.
Yes.
Very different.
Oh, yes.
I remember going to see Sweeney Todd in theaters and making it through the song where he gets his switchblades, his razors back. And the
my
way
friends.
he says, yeah, my friends, and the way he says, my arm is complete again, I was like, this is just like so hamming it up that I can't do this. I left the movie and got a refund. Then I saw the original version, the stage play. The delivery of that line, my arm is complete again, is terrifying. It is bone chilling. It is amazing. And the fact that it got turned into that.
Yeah, it's
Just,
like my first exposure to Phantom of the Opera as a kid was the Gerard Butler version.
Oh no!
I know, and
no.
so for a
Oh, no.
while, that was my like defining version. Until I watched like a Broadway version on YouTube, and I was like, "Oh, that's how it's supposed to sound." Not.
Wasn't Sarah Brightman like one of the original
The original Christine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, compare Sarah Brightman to.
And then, but also Michael Crawford was the original Phantom.
Oh god. Legend.
He was great in Barnum, not great in everything else. Anyway, this isn't about musical theater.
Anyway,
I just had to share that last. little
this is all relevant because even though Cruella is not technically a remake, it is still reminiscent of all of these derivative, shitty, weird, pseudo goth, pseudo badass vibes that seem to just pick up and take tropes without really thinking about what the overall message and theme is. And you know, the entire process of this movie baffled me before I saw it, and I wanted to see what they would do with it. But now that I've seen it, it's not just bad. The kind of people this movie is a litmus test. It is a warning sign. If someone you know watches this and has a very like good for her vibe out of it with zero criticism, look out for that person. 'Cause there's a point in this movie where it's straight up, it dismisses and throws away the idea of coping with your trauma and processing it in a healthy way, or your mental illness, because this movie does say that there's like, it says that, you know, there's narcissism going on, and you know, if you're familiar with any kind of cluster B personality disorder, including things like borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder, you will recognize a lot of the tactics used in this movie are in that vein of manipulation, and they are framed as ways of reclaiming your power. And there's a point where she straight up rejects the idea of having tried to be a better person and just says, that wasn't me. And the empowerment moment is her embracing that side of her to weaponize. It's horrifying. It disturbed the shit out of me as someone who has suffered abuse at the hands of multiple people like that, who have not processed their trauma and pain properly. That freaked me the fuck out. And the idea that children are going to be watching this, like young girls are going to be watching this, and thinking, oh yeah, I just have to take these things that people say are unhealthy and just use them to hurt the right people. That's fucking scary.
If I can say something,
No.
when she mentions, fuck you. When she mentions, like, I tried to be this person, but I'm not good little Estella.
Cruella.
This is where
Yeah.
the whole framing her as the hero thing comes in.
This is what
Because
the
it is,
off.
it's
Yeah.
not easy
Got it.
for lots of these. What's up?
You gotta get my elbow in
It's
there. I
not
guess.
easy to
I've-
cope. It's not
yeah.
easy to deal with these problems internally. It's not easy
No.
Mhm.
interpersonally
Got it.
or intrapersonally between yourself or between others. It's not. And this movie just basically acts like that's not a thing that should happen. And that's, I've had lots, I have lots of experience in the mental health field and behavioral health field. Just even trying to make her sympathetic, like even just a way to show a struggle. And no, that whole shit in the beginning where it's like, oh, I tried to be good at school, but, fuck people.
From a young age, I knew to reject being healthy.
Yeah, it's just that complete missing component to even. It's not probably. It's because it's Disney, and Disney doesn't
Yeah.
want to have these fucking conversations because these conversations are real conversations, and
Yeah.
not just look. We have a gay character in this movie. We're gonna completely dub that out overseas, but so just these.
We'll keep it a half second, so it's easy.
Yeah, these actual conversations and introspective look into this being completely gone is, I feel, irresponsible.
I agree.
No, absolutely.
I agree.
If
And
you
I-
have kids, don't show this to your fucking kids. Don't.
Like,
ever.
you know what? She could not be quote unquote healthy at the end, but
No,
there's
God.
like even no attempt
No.
to
And
even try to show that this is not healthy.
And again, that also boils down to Disney's, and that's the problem a lot of these fucking reboots have. You have Disney's reluctance and completely missing the point of the original creation of just, like, framing your villain as a goddamn villain because she's the title character.
Yeah.
And that's, then, like, all these fucking movies have is they inherently miss the point of the original ones to a dangerous degree.
So
Like, this would have been really cool. Fucked up. I think too fucked up for kids. Honestly,
went-
it still is.
If
but
they went all the way and just made her the villain, made her just openly
exactly.
villainous, then yeah, you can keep all of this shit that's already
Yes.
there and have it
Yeah,
like work
yes.
as intended. But because they try for like, oh no, I was wounded as a child, and have all these things in there, then it just muddles everything up
I
unnecessarily.
just want to say, being wounded as a child is. I
It's-
don't want anybody to think that that's dismissive.
No,
I'm sure
that's
not.
not.
No,
not at all.
It's the idea of using that as an excuse to hurt other people as you grow up.
Yes.
Or dismiss hard behavior they're exhibiting right now.
Yes.
That's why it might
Some-
be.
Something I've always been told is these are explanations, not excuses.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
But when you have it like presented in the framing of this movie, when it is used as an excuse, as a catch-all, as this happened to me in my childhood, therefore what I'm doing now is okay, or
Yeah.
you should forgive me because we're family, and all these other elements in there. It's again like if you just frame that she's a horrible person and she's always horrible, you're not supposed to like her, root for her in any way.
Yeah.
Then you can have that same element be there, but you just know it's bad because it's coming from this character. We try to give her a redemptive arc and try to give her like this whole thing. Well, not even a redemptive arc. We try to frame her as like sympathetic. Then that muddles all of it up, and you get this really message like, oh, this is good actually.
They could have done like a Breaking Bad style thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where the character just falls prey to their bad feelings and their bad impulses and just gets pulled into the darkness.
Exactly.
And it's not glamorized.
Exactly. That's
Everyone
what I'm talking
around them
about,
that loves them is actually horrified by this. And they kind of do this in the second act, but then they fucking pull back from it.
And see, and this could totally work, because think about what Hell Hall was back in the original movie. It was dilapidated. Cruella's not what she was. Like, just in shambles as a petty crook, despite still being glamorous.
Yeah.
So you could even just have that lead to that state, which would be a better way to tie into the first movie than what the fucking after credits scene does.
Yeah.
We'll get to
I
it.
just know it's bad when I still stand by the fact that the best live-action Disney remake they've made so far is fucking Pete's Dragon.
I still haven't seen that.
It's
They
the only.
remade Pete's
I
Dragon?
fucking loved.
Yeah, they did.
I fucking loved Pete's Dragon when I was a kid. It was one of the quieter remakes. Honestly, I don't know why they did it. Like,
I don't know why either, but it was the only one that was like
Yeah.
halfway decent.
But okay, so the movie's okay, but just fundamentally, ethically fucked up in a way that makes it impossible to be okay with.
Yeah.
So that's really all. That's as far as I can go with it.
So
Can we go into spoilers?
even
or
that
do you
whole,
wanna...
so with it being okay, like even from the start, it's a total fucking mess.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It is totally dissonant.
And then
yeah,
it
yeah.
it kind of evens out, and just nosedives hard and never recovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even just structurally from that point, I'm like, okay, well, this is a bad movie. Even if it changed the stuff that I was saying
Yeah.
about being much less irresponsible, I'd be like, okay, well, at least they did that, but
Yeah.
it still sucks. But
I mean, it has
this
fun
is-
characters.
Yeah.
It has some cute dogs in it.
It has Mark Strong.
It has Mark Strong, always good. Emma Thompson is fantastic for what she is.
For what they were all given.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean Emma Thompson is the de facto villain of the film,
Yeah.
and she does that well. There's some jokes that they do that are weirdly not for kids and fall flat, like not even adult oriented in the sense of like sexual, but like references to things that
Well, this movie isn't made for kids. This movie
Yeah.
is made
No,
for
it's
people
definitely
our
for
age
Disney
who
adults.
are going to become Disney adults. Yes,
Disney
and
adults.
I enjoy Disney to a very fair degree. I just had this giant rant with you the other day about how The Little Mermaid saved Broadway.
Yep.
I'd like to not think of myself as a Disney adult. I guess it's up to the deliberation of other people. But I like to call out their shit.
I'm a
Look, they
Disney
do a lot of
appreciator.
shit.
I respect their art form. I respect the craft.
Yes.
There you go.
I
I
do
guess
not
that-
respect their business practices.
I guess
It
that's
is-
a good way to put it.
There's a thing, I think there's a line you cross when you are a fan of something where you lose all perspective and ability to be critical of problems that they
Yeah.
have,
There you go.
and will just ceaselessly defend something just because of what it is
Like
without
this.
Yep.
really thinking about what it means or the implications of it or the irresponsibility of it, like Infinity War. But if you are able to at least look at the problems within the context, it's okay to like problematic things. You just have to know they're problematic, and you have to be able to look at them as an adult and detach yourself from the fandom and be like, yeah, that part's not too good.
I'm also gonna throw the Beauty and the Beast remake in that category too.
Oh yeah, no, Lindsay Ellis did a great video on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Disney adults are the ones that will just, they go to they would love to go to Disneyland every fucking month.
I know people who live up here
Yeah.
who do that every other weekend.
That's
Or at least
horrifying.
they used to.
That is a horrifying amount of money.
I agree with you. It made no sense to me. And this person got offended when I'm like, how can you stomach that much Disneyland? I'll go to Disneyland, like once every other year.
I haven't gone
It's
since I
fun.
was 16, so I have no idea.
But like
I don't get it.
every other week. At that point, it's corporate cultism. At that point,
It is just the thought of spending that much money just to go to Disneyland repeatedly.
yeah.
Oh yeah, like it's expensive to go once.
There are people like donate to someone who's having trouble making their rent. How about that? But there's a line between being a fan and being a fanatic, and the Disney adult line, I think, is with the fanatics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you're beyond all reason, and you're just going to adopt like a line of argument that is void of all logic, and you're just going to grab onto the first hole you can poke in an argument instead of having a structured fucking discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
I make videos on comics. All right, you want to talk about that kind of?
Did you catch my...
I catch it now, but
Okay,
I
alright.
I
Just
did.
too triggered by it tonight.
I didn't when I started talking, but I caught on to it as I was saying, and like, oh, I'm being an ass right now, but I'm too committed to drop it.
Good follow through on the bit though. All right, so God, the more I think about it, the more I hate it. Can we just go into spoiler territory?
I'm fine
Sure.
with that.
I think everyone knows what we think. All right,
By the way, speaking of comics, Kamala Khan video is up right now. Go watch it. Okay, continue.
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel. Kamala
Most
Khan,
people,
same
I know most people don't know her by her.
Yes, Miss Marvel, Embrace Your Light out now. Go watch it. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. All right. Do you address any of the controversy with recent Avengers game on it?
I like mentioned it once.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
Good.
like it gets a passing mention, but it's not the focus.
Yeah. All right. So let's do a quick summary. Right. She's a rambunctious kid. She's born with the hair.
That was like right off the bat, where we're just like,
We all laughed. We all laughed pretty hard.
Like the first fucking 10 seconds.
Like
Yeah, it was
it's just
pretty
a
good.
baby with a full head of hair, and
it's
just
black and white.
and we're just like, oh, like I mean, I watched a trailer of this and thinking like, this is gonna be bad shit. This could be a train wreck. I kind of am just curious to see where they go with this. And right off the bat, my expectations are immediately just lowered immensely.
So that happens, and then she's a rambunctious kid who, people try to pick on her because she's, got the hair, I guess, and she's a rebellious child. And she
makes fun of her for the
defends
hair for some reason.
Yeah.
That's a reason for stigma.
everyone
weird.
everyone in the movie, when they see her hair, they're like, "Oh God, can't let people see that," and they make fun of her for it and shit. Like, it's a very weird reaction to.
I feel like these goth kids would go like, "Hey, we do your dye job."
Right. But then she makes friends with this girl Anita in fucking elementary school, and they're friends for life. And move on from school. She's expelled, but they quit. And her mother takes her to go ask help from the Baroness.
Wait, did you notice that when the schoolmaster's putting the marks on her permanent record,
They're black dots.
it was
on
all
white
black
sheet.
dots on white paper?
Yeah, there's weird little. There's one point where she's in white and she's splattered with like black paint drops. There are weird little like, oh look, black, white spot. But yeah, so they go to ask help, and while her mom goes off to talk to this lady, she sneaks out and wanders into the party, and someone holding these 3 Dalmatians loses hold of them, and they run after her and chase her through the party, nobody of which does anything to stop.
No.
She has a cute little dog named Buddy, by the way. So yeah, all these fucking bougie-ass rich Hunger Games people are like, oh, the latest challenge, and like... Fucking, she literally runs up a walkway and does a slow motion swing off a chandelier, and like these terrible CG Dalmatians slow motion like jump after her and chomp at her and shit. But she gets away. She does like a rock and roll slide on her knees. But then she goes outside and the dogs run past her and tackle her mom off a cliff.
They fucking drop kick her. It turns around and just fucking.
Yeah, they don't like they don't grab her and like tear her throat out or anything. Like they don't tackle her and go over the cliff with her. One of them straight up jumps up and goes like boof.
You know,
knocks her off the cliff.
If someone just takes that and just juxtapositions like Christopher Nolan's Batman theme in there.
So
Dun, dun, dun.
I got this scene spoiled, and I still fucking laughed.
Yeah, I haven't seen the scene. I saw that like
I saw images.
I saw memes pop up on Twitter like that.
Yeah.
Barry Allen
My
tweet
favorite-
with like him doing this for the grave.
It was me all along.
It just showed like the mom's name is killed by Dalmatians and Barry Allen.
My favorite is when the Dalmatian jumps and the camera like goes underneath and it comes up facing upside down.
Yeah, it's
What the fuck?
It's a stylish camera move. Don't you know what cinematography is, Chris?
Cinematography.
There you
Very
go.
well aware.
So that happens, and of course Cruella blames herself, and she just is sad about it for a night, and then wakes up the next morning next to a fountain and hooks up with these 2 rapscallions, Jasper and Horace.
Horace, but like Jasper, by the way, just immediately goes, "Oh, she doesn't have a family."
Yeah, he straight up is like, she's like, Horace was perceptive, and no, Jasper was perceptive, and he's looking at her and he's like, she has no family, and I'm like, what the fuck kind of witchcraft is this? Fucking hell.
I mean, granted, we see a like little girl by herself in a fountain. That's
Maybe she ran away!
I mean, still technically he'd be right, depending on the circumstances.
No! Don't defend this movie!
If you saw an orphan child begging in fucking Cesar Chavez Park, you go up to them and be like, your parents are dead.
Well, she was napping by a fountain.
Dude,
Okay.
do you not?
I mean, they might have forgotten.
Maybe this is why you like Cruella a little
On their back, they might have forgotten.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said no, I don't have the same vitriol.
No. See, if they manage to spend a day where they forget their Batman origin story, you need to remind them, to re-motivate them, that they shouldn't be begging for coins. They should be drop-kicking criminals in alleyways. You know, learn that fucking Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
There's this bit in Teen Titans Go to the Movies that that you may know about this, but there's a whole thing where we got to get rid of all the superheroes, so we can be the superheroes. So they basically undo all the superheroes' origin stories, including Batman's, and then there's things go wrong and they have to fix back, so they go back in a montage and they just go back to Bruce Wayne's parents, and Raven snaps them through the pearl necklace onto her neck, and Robin shoves him into the alley.
Shit.
This all happens, and you know what you hear? You just see the flash of the gun go off, and Bruce Wayne's like, but Robin turns to Teen Titans and goes,
God. Wait, this is a fucking Teen Titans Go episode?
Yes, this is the movie. It goes to the movie.
Teen Titans Go the movie.
English show's not that bad.
Honestly, the movie's fucking great. I highly recommend it.
Everything I hear about it is very positive. It's actually it's like how a Lego movie really surprised you.
Okay.
Things are shockingly good.
It's
the
way they stop Aquaman is they put as a baby, they grab him in the ocean, put him one of those soda can wrappers, and put him back in.
That's fucking great.
That's dark.
They just fucking murdered Aquaman.
All right.
Sorry, I'm done. Go ahead.
What? Voice down a little bit. It's a little late.
Yeah.
I have neighbors.
Sorry.
2, we got to talk about the bad movie.
Yeah, I know.
I know you're trying to have happy thoughts right now, but we got to stick with
the point I was trying to go with there. Is just never mind. Go ahead. I lost my train of thought. I was trying to replace happy thoughts. Go ahead.
The point I was making, I forgot. I just wanted to talk about Teen Titans for a second. Fair, not judging you.
Yeah.
But, okay, so they team up, fast forward. They also have a tiny little chihuahua with one eye named Wink. He's adorable. Both of the dogs are adorable. Jasper and Horace are great throughout the whole movie. Fast forward, she's a petty crook with them. They run gigs and shit through some amount of... Oh yeah, and she makes all their costumes. She's always been fucking obsessed with design, fashion design. And she does some shenanigans where something she does gets noticed by the Baroness, who ran that party that she went to, and she was obsessed with her for all her life up until that point. And she gets hired as a designer for the Baroness. And so goes the back and forth where she's working for the Baroness and gaining some of her trust and getting closer and finding out. And she finds out that the Baroness actually used a dog whistle to summon the dogs, and that she's responsible for her mom's death, and so she starts plotting to figure something out. And when she does her revenge plot, she pulls out the whole Cruella thing with the weird shtick, and it starts being an asshole to the only family she's ever had, these two dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, other than her mom.
This is when it goes full Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
No, it's not that.
Not yet.
It's not on that. This is at best Harley Quinn, and not even well-developed Birds of Prey Harley Quinn, Suicide Squad being directed by a man Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Oh God, what was it? Daddy's Little Monster. That fucking shirt.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, and it does this whole thing where she's now sabotaging all of the Baroness's appearances, and trying to trash her name and make a name for herself by trashing the Baroness, and eventually she gets found out, and the Baroness tries to fucking kill her, during which you find out that apparently the Baroness has just murdered a bunch of people casually.
Which honestly was the most interesting part of the movie.
Yeah, no, the scene where the Baroness comes to literally murder Cruella.
And Cruella's just you killed my mom, and she goes, you have to be more specific.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of whoa, hold on. There's a much more interesting backstory here that I want to know more about.
There's a cool vibe going on in that scene, which I feel was the darker heart of the movie that they could have capitalized on a bit more if they actually tried to take the dark parts a little more seriously. But then she gets saved by Mark Strong, who's one of the Baroness's servants, and apparently he was the guy who saved her. Because when the Baroness gave birth to her, she didn't want... And when this Baroness got pregnant way back when, she didn't want to be pregnant because she's a narcissist and it would take attention off of her. So she orders Mark Strong, her servant, to murder the baby. So he's like, okay, sure. And he's like, yeah, I'm not fucking doing that. So he goes and hands her off to the lady who ends up being...
and he dumps her in the river, and she's taken by penguins, and she
Yeah,
throws
right.
her to fight Batman.
But then she's taken in by the lady who ended up being her adoptive mom, and she's the real heir to the Baroness's fortune.
Sure.
Who's left behind by the Baron, and she's horrified by this fact. So now, keep in mind, we've taken this from her feeling responsible for her mother's death to finding out that her real mother has tried to murder her twice. It's honestly a really fucked up and traumatic story arc. If you made this into a serious R-rated movie and went full dark with it, that could be really fucked up and cool.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's the puppy Skinner. So like, it's weird. And so you're supposed to be like empathizing with her and shit. And of course, like, she's fucked over Jasper and Horace and like treated them like shit this whole time, right? So they're finally fed up with her shit. And there's a point where she goes back to the fountain and does this whole scene where she embraces the darkness. She literally says like, I tried to be good for you, but that's just not who I am. I'm not Estella, I'm Cruella, la la la. And basically saying, I am going to embrace this dark, vengeance-driven, hate, spite-driven side of me and just make it all I am.
Which,
And
again, in a better framed movie, would be perfectly okay.
as the origin story for a villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
As a hero,
as a moment of self-realization for your
Yeah.
anti-hero, that's fucking not okay.
I agree.
And then so this all happens, and she goes back, and then she makes up with Horace and Jasper by telling them that she what the truth is, and their minds are blown. But that's the thing, like the way she does it, she doesn't apologize.
No.
To start off, she says the Baroness is my birth mother, and this is shocking enough to stop them in their tracks. Fine, but the implication is that this is an excuse for what I did. This explains it, so forgive me for that.
Yeah.
Without asking for forgiveness, which is something these kinds of people do.
Yep.
It's a problem.
Yep.
And then, and I need to be clear when I say these kinds of people, it's not that you can't live with something like borderline personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder, because there are men and women who, this is not just a female thing. This is not gender specific.
Yeah.
These kinds of personality disorders, men perpetuate these kinds of unhealthy behaviors just as much if they don't deal with their traumas properly. So it's just kind of an abusive mindset. Even if the person isn't actively maliciously abusive, even if they're not actively trying to hurt the other person, it is a subtle thing where they are uncomfortable not being in the spot of power or not being the center of attention. So they do weird things to maintain their power control, even when they don't mean to. And if they don't specifically work to curb those urges, to recognize those urges when they come around, because it is a self-defense mechanism, not a malicious thing, unless they fully embrace it. So like, it takes work, but it doesn't make them bad people.
No.
There's something you remember Thoroughbreds?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something one of the characters says in that movie that I really appreciated. She deals with some kind of weird situation where she doesn't feel feelings the same way as other people, and she says, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It just means that I have to work harder to be one.
Yeah.
And I loved that, because I can empathize with that on some levels, because I have my own fucking trauma and shit that I've been working on forever. And there were times when I took that out on other people, and I recognized it, and I worked on it, and that's what you're supposed to do. But anyway, so when she makes up with these fucking guys, she invites them back, and when she explains it, she does eventually apologize, but immediately undercuts it by saying, you guys are my family.
You're the only people I have.
You're the only people I have. Which makes it feel like she said, if I lose you, I'll be alone. I'll have nothing.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm apologizing, because
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to be alone.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
these people.
Exactly.
And it sounds shitty to say these people. That sounds pretty accusatory.
I get what you mean.
You know what
though.
I mean.
Like
You know what
people
I mean.
who are inclined to.
And this is exactly what I mean when I say this film is irresponsible and how it
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
And that's, yeah.
people are inclined for like narcissistic tendencies and who have no intention of addressing that narcissistic
Yeah.
tendencies.
It's I mean, if you watched our review of The Father, you know that there are people in my family that have these tendencies. That one of whom we have completely separated from because she constantly hurt everybody around her and guilt tripped them endlessly for no fucking reason while doing the worst stuff herself. And my whole family is better off and healthier now that we don't deal with her anymore. And then there's another family member who's not quite as difficult to deal with, but follows in her footsteps. And I'm working with my family to try to make sure that we all keep proper boundaries with her, so she doesn't just abuse the whole "you've never abandoned family" shtick, because that's the kind of things that people who don't deal with their shit will use to just sidestep responsibility for what they do. And that feels 100% like what this movie is constantly doing when it goes to fully embrace this persona. It basically just says, hey, I did this because bad things happened to me, and this person did bad things to me, so now I'm just going to do bad things to the people around me, and the ways that I'm nice to people are pretty much for my own ends, and I'm also just going to hurt people because they're bad, and no one's really going to talk about the fact that I'm doing bad things, and I'm inclined to do bad things. So, yeah, whole final story arc, she defeats the Baroness publicly, shames her, literally buries Estella. Like, they have the funeral and everything.
Yeah.
So she literally lets go of the side of her personality that was trying to be a good person. And then shrugs and walks it off and fully embraces this new person she is. And, yeah. Movie ends. And then... So... The Baroness had 3 Dalmatians, right? I don't know what happened to the third one, but...
There were 3 at the end, weren't there?
Well, one got... Well, okay, so Anita, her friend from childhood, who has been a reporter through the movie and helping her, like, do stories to work against the Baroness, Anita gets a dog from Cruella, one of the Dalmatians, named Perdita, and one of the servants of the Baroness, whose name was Roger, gets sent one of the dogs whose name is Pongo.
So here's my thing about that. Cruella and Roger spoke like maybe once or twice in the time.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is she giving him a dog?
So that the next movie can happen.
Basically.
Yeah. But yeah, the implication... Also, Perdita is pregnant when she sends her out. So the implication is that this whole romance between Roger and Anita in 101 Dalmatians takes place almost immediately after the events of Cruella. And Cruella goes from being a dog-owning, vindicated, strong woman
to murderous, puppy-skinning psychopath.
Yeah, to psychopathic, decrepit fucking old lady who goes off and visits her old friend Anita and immediately decides that this huge litter of puppies that the dog that she gave her had would be perfect for a winter coat. Like, what?
And so they explain. So one of the last times Cruella meets Baroness before she thinks she kills her, or she thinks she kills her, is she's kidnapped the 3 Dalmatians, and she comes up wearing a Dalmatian coat, and they're all blasting the Stooges' "I Want to Be Your Dog," which is one of the more subtle uses of music in this film. Right up there with "Sympathy for the Devil" at the end.
Right.
And she makes it very clear that she didn't kill the dogs. It was just to fuck with her. So what changed from saying that I wouldn't kill Dalmatians to going like, you know what, the Dalmatians, I gave us gifts.
They're children.
Yeah, they're the ones I can fucking kill.
I don't know, like, to me, like, the way I interpret it is, like, I feel like
And
this movie
also-
where it takes place in different continuities,
and
so I assume it's
also-
like, okay, things happen differently, I don't know.
Cruella's a fashion designer, but what's her specialty?
You're already thinking deeper than I think.
What's her specialty?
To go.
Crime?
Moths?
What's her specialty in fashion?
Not polka dots. She's
Fur.
major. Oh, right.
She never wore fur once in this fucking movie. Because wearing fur is becoming less and less widely accepted. Which you want? I'm for.
Yeah.
God forbid the villain. Just the whole. The implication from all the stuff that we had spoiled is that she hates Dalmatians because Dalmatians killed her mom. But throughout the movie, they make an effort to show that she loves dogs. And she's fine with dogs. And she's actually fine with Dalmatians, those dogs. The exact dogs that killed her mom. She takes them in.
She retrains them. They're loyal to her now.
She makes friends with them. The specific ones. So the implication that she turned against all Dalmatians because of that is more than out the window.
Which, by the way, those dogs must be getting close to 20 by this point, right?
Sure. Yeah, I don't. They don't seem a day older than the moment they murder her mom.
I guess murder makes dogs younger. Who knew?
Oh God.
I mean, that's the end of the day. This movie has the exact same fucking problems all the goddamn Disney live action.
You know what?
No. This
Wait.
one's worse.
Yeah, first of all, but you know what? Disney live action remake wasn't all that bad.
What's that?
101 Dalmatians.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Ironically,
Yeah,
In the
okay.
90s. In the 90s.
Yeah, I remember that.
Glenn fucking Close, man. Glenn Close is a national treasure.
Yes.
It's really astonishing that, I mean, because the quality level, the thing that fucks with me is that from a technical perspective, this movie is better than most of the Disney remakes. But in terms of the story and the messaging, and just the level of irresponsibility, it's egregious. It's one of the worst, if not the worst.
I agree, but I didn't say it was the same as the other ones. I said it had the same problem.
I'm not contesting you. I'm
Okay.
just making a point about like where it sits in the spectrum because it's weird.
It is weird. I agree.
It's better and worse in different ways.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess my point I was trying to say is that for some reason with the remakes, Disney fundamentally doesn't understand their own product in a way that is like continues to be utterly baffling, or they try to find a way that doesn't make any sense. It makes it worse by proxy.
You know, it doesn't help that they had 5 writers on the script,
Fair.
including the writer of 50 Shades of
But
Grey.
even the ones that didn't have like 5 goddamn writers on it, they all show the same problem of like, oh, we like for some reason we'll make this some even shot by shot and still completely miss the point somehow.
Yeah.
Or like trying to redefine to something that it's like trying to put the square peg in the round hole. It just does not work, and you can't force it to make it work. But some people get offended because fuck it's Disney and they don't care about quality and context.
I don't really. There's a thing about Disney magic, which was a lot deeper than aesthetic. And what bothers me is that a lot of people are going to watch things like this and they're going to say like, oh, it has the Disney magic, when it really doesn't. It doesn't. It might have a certain flair, a stylistic flair, and a certain amount of tone that makes it fun in a certain way, but the things that made Disney movies actually magical, like fairy tales and shit, this is nowhere close.
Done. Like it's like it just again fundamentally doesn't understand what made the original ones work, how their characters work in that way, and their attempts to redefine them into something new or agey just come off as offensive at best.
This is purely product that's focus driven. Like, let's take a look at what's really popular right now. Okay, we have this demographic going on, this demographic going on. Okay, we've always been really good with the older females, and the whole boss bitch movement's going on. Do we have anybody like that? Well, we've already done Maleficent. Oh, Cruella.
Yeah.
That's literally feel the entire.
Like, who?
You know what I want to see given this treatment? It'll be a little harder considering, but I want to see Ursula given this fucking treatment.
I would actually love to see that.
Because that would be a cool fucking movie. And she's just chilling on her own off to the side, not wanting to be fucked with, except for the fucking king who's been, like, she has a beef with him. Fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, because you already have, like, a story you can easily rewrite to be more sympathetic.
You could, let's do a proper story of Hades from Hercules, using the Hercules concept.
Yes.
Let's mine that Greek mythology again. Let's make a Hades movie. Like, there's so many villains. Fuck, I would see a Jafar movie. That could be interesting. What?
We saw what happened when they tried.
No. That's when you give a British guy a movie about a story from 1001 Arabian Nights and he puts Indian Bollywood dancing in it. Fuck that shit. I'm talking about giving Jafar, just Jafar, his own fucking movie with him watching this bumbling fucking sultan his whole fucking life mismanage shit.
Alright,
and
fair pitch.
Yeah, and the fucking kingdom is in ruins, man. You got so many fucking poor people all over the place. Like, abject poverty spread everywhere, homelessness. And you got this king fucking, like, living in the gigantic golden palace. Yeah, man, maybe make Jafar, like, he gets swallowed up by his fucking jealousy and his need to, like, have a woman, but it like leading up to that, there are totally things to go against the Sultan for, and it could be a statement on fucking class warfare and shit. You could do something with that. Cruella skins puppies.
Well, when you put it like that, I would watch Gaston.
There are arguments to be made about Gaston not necessarily being the villain, but those arguments I've seen generally come from chuds. So, like,
for sure.
The male version of the boss bitch, basically.
Yeah. It is. I mean, Gaston, he didn't necessarily have the wrong idea about, like, hey, the monster fucking kidnapped Belle.
The problem is that wasn't the part that bothered him in the movie.
No, I know. That's the thing. Like, people are like, he got together a mob to go save the girl who got kidnapped by the people whose father got fucking kidnapped and everything's changed. Like, that's a reasonable motivation to go do that. No, but he's a fucking buffoon who's like he harasses her and rips pages out of her book and like just like he's the worst kind of Chad.
It's like, have you seen that Saturday morning breakfast cereal comic about Snow White?
No.
Where it just says like the evil queen's sitting there. It's like, who's the fairest of them all? Snow White. Long pause. She's 14, you freak! And it shows like that mirror be taken away by police. It's like, I never touched her. I never touched her.
You know what Disney origin movie I want? Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit.
Jesus.
Just
you know what you really dark?
Just 2 hours of Judge Doom fucking everybody's shit up,
dude.
Because he's an evil psychotic toon.
If you can make one R-rated Disney villain movie, Frollo, hands down.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
That might be too much, man.
I don't know. Like, make it R-rated, just go for it.
Dude, no, you're talking about, like... You're talking about, like, Dark Ages, Catholic persecution...
Yeah. I'm aware.
Torture, like...
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Why are you smiling?
Because... I don't know what to tell you on that one, man.
Well, I mean...
Okay.
Maybe that movie will find as people say it is, then.
Oh, man. There's just... Look.
I feel like you were expecting a bigger reaction out of that.
I think... Honestly, I would have loved to see an R-rated version of this, where they actually embrace... Like,
I agree. Yeah.
If they didn't try to do what they just did here.
Yeah.
And I know people will say, oh, but it's a Disney movie. It's based after a book. You release it through Fox or Touchstone.
A lot of Disney shit is based off of a book.
Yeah,
The Lion King is fucking handy.
Alright, hey, guys, we gotta wrap it up. We're running out of battery here.
Don't you have a plug for it?
Not on me.
You never plan for this shit.
I thought it was charged when I left.
You probably, but
we're wasting time arguing every time wrapping this up.
Well, it's important to highlight your irresponsibility, Michael.
We could have had this exact same team release it through Touchstone or Fox, which are both owned by Disney. They could have done the exact same shit, just even more.
And they still around?
Actually, now that they got Fox, I don't know. They were releasing films.
I feel like it went the way of Orion and Amblin, didn't it? Like,
yeah, I think Touchstone got dissolved, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, anyway, movie
fucking
studios.
George Lucas, strange
Whatever.
killed it.
Whatever. Look, this isn't well done. It's irresponsible. It's fun, kind of, but it's hard to overlook its problems.
I came for like either a good movie or a good bad movie, and I'm just upset. I'm just bummed
I
out.
feel like that should have been the bumper at the beginning.
I'm just tired of these goddamn movies.
Yeah, this was kids should not see this.
I'm glad we didn't pay money for this.
Kids should not see this. This is so severely irresponsible. It's the message of empowerment it gives is so frightening. Yeah, don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't pay for this.
All right, good night, everybody.
I'm gonna go kill my cat for a hat.
I thought you were in